Well, Deb Murphy filed a story for Sierra Wave Media noting that some 80 South Inyo County residents got a tutorial on groundwater last Wednesday evening at the Olancha Fire Station. Now, the information session was organized by Inyo County, and it was more than a hydrology primer. The meeting was called to update residents on Olancha and Cartago on the progress made to determine the extent of groundwater contamination from Crystal Geyser Roxanne's leaking arsenic pond. Now, staff from Inyo County, the Lahontan Regional Water Control Board, consultants Geosyntec, and the water bottling operation provided background and progress on the investigation, which was initiated in July of 2014. Now, the issue: Crystal Geyser had 3 discharge ponds used for arsenic and other contaminants filtered out of the water. Now, 2 were lined, 1 wasn't. Now, the liner in the arsenic pond, as it was called, degraded, allowing the contaminants to percolate into the groundwater. Geosyntec was hired to determine the extent of the contamination. Hazardous waste is now trucked out of the area for disposal. Arsenic Pond was shut down. The company still discharges waste into East and Fire ponds, but the discharges contain no arsenic. Now, Mark Rivetti, a geohydrologist from Geosyntec, explained that the groundwater under the ponds moves northwest toward Owens Lake. Now, while the limits of the contamination have yet to be nailed down, that movement pretty much precludes contamination of wells in the Cartago area. Now, to reassure residents, Inyo County District 5 Supervisor Matt Kingsley announced the county would foot the bill to have private wells in Cartago tested. Now, arsenic and a number of other elements dangerous at specific levels are a product of the journey surface water takes on its way to the groundwater basins. Traveling down the mountain and through the alluvial fans, water picks up all the minerals present in its pathway. The water picks up even larger concentrations of arsenic in the clay layers in the soil east of the water bottling plant. Now, the acceptable level of arsenic in drinking water is 10 parts per billion. The danger in the contaminated areas is the concentration of arsenic filtered out of the water before bottling. Now, Scott Ferguson, division manager from Lahontan, went through the first 2 phases of the investigation. The first was easy. Probes indicated there was arsenic at the elevated levels in groundwater under the leaking pond. Now, phase 2 involved multiple monitoring wells that turned up fairly consistent 7 to 15 ppb in some areas, but 636 ppb in the direction of water movement. Results from the monitoring wells have been so variable, Ferguson said, the company will be looking at quarterly monitoring. Now, there is much more on this story from Deb Murphy on our website, sierrawave.net. Well, Mammoth Lakes Repertory Theater's annual family-friendly, and a press release notes, outrageously fun March Magic returning to the Edison Theater stage this year, featuring the talented magician wit Pop Hayden. Now, Pop Hayden has been named Performer of the Year 6 times by the world-famous Magic Castle in Hollywood, and named him also the top 5 performers at the Magic Castle more than 30 times. Pop Hayden will perform at the Edison Theater this Friday through Sunday. He's performed all over the world in nightclubs and other spots, and he's also open for Jerry Seinfeld. Seinfeld reference. Get more information and purchase tickets online for this week's Magic Show featuring Pop Hayden. Go to the website MammothLakesRepertoryTheater.org. Well, the Friends of the Eastern California Museum inviting everyone to join them for their annual meeting and potluck dinner, along with a great auction this Saturday, March 12th. That'll be at the American Legion Hall in Independence. Friends of the Eastern California Museum are a nonprofit organization which supports the museum in Independence, which is also the Inyo County Museum. They do that with volunteer labor and financial resources. This helps keep the museum a viable and important part in preserving our area's history and culture. Now, the evening will also feature a presentation by Dr. Kimberly Kerner from Cal State University Northridge. Dr. Kerner has been the lead researcher for the Coping with Change research project in the Eastern Sierra. To explain the project and demonstrate how Inyo residents can participate through a simple online map. Friends annual dinner and meeting starting at 5:30 p.m. at the American Legion Hall in Independence. We'll note there's also going to be a social hour at the Eastern California Museum in Independence that is scheduled to start this Saturday afternoon at 4:30. And again, that's the Friends of the Eastern California Museum annual meeting, potluck dinner, and silent auction. And again, everyone is invited. There's some great folks there. More information, contact David at 760-920-8061. And just a little bit more about Dr. Kimberly Kerner. Again, Cal State Northridge, been working in the Owens Valley for years on a variety of projects, and the map that she's doing now has the potential to be a powerful tool for awareness of incremental changes through time, especially if residents actively participate in mapping places that have changed and talk with one another about those changes. Now, along with the Friends of the Eastern California Museum dinner, Dr. Kerner will also speak this Saturday morning starting at 11 o'clock at the Bishop Library on Academy Street. We'll be back with a weather report.